Go now to DryerBuzz.com and follow at DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.
Hey guys, are you ready to get started? Let me tell you what I don't have in front of me. I don't have the journal and I don't have the napkin, but I do have time. I have got time, and as I sound, I have rolled out of bed some time ago. Let me snatch this earring off because I hear it already making noise for you guys. So if this is your first time, please let me know in the comments or in the replay that it was your first time hearing or seeing this. And if you're on, regardless of where you are, I can't see you because I'm doing this through another platform, and I go back into the comments after and we have some discussion after. I've found that I've got to get it out. And I love taping this podcast in a live environment. And unfortunately, it can't be as much right now. It can't be as much of a two-way conversation as book one was. Now, book one, that's 90 episodes where we went through, each was a journaling moment. We did a word cloud. We had some great two-way conversation. This one it's time sensitive. And like I literally have 10, maybe 15 minutes to talk about how I got out of bed because I want this thing. We have to progress. Now, mind you, there are going to be some dark days. We know that because we're dealing with our anxieties, not so much, depression as we went through or the trauma and all that, but just basically things that will trigger off our anxiety. Like I got up and got started in the morning, and then I realized like I can't roll with the morning commuters, right? I'm not that aware of my surroundings, like school buses. I'm like, oh wait, whoa, that was stopping. I'm just not as aware in the morning. Morning is just not my thing. And I've had the kind of life where morning didn't have to be my thing and I could flow the way I wanted to. So I don't want to kind of say go with the flow. I kind of want to talk about us just kind of being aware, especially of things that trigger you into I can't do. Let's talk about the I can'ts this morning because one of the things I do is I go back and look at these things that come up like it's the anniversary of this, the anniversary of that. Here's a memory, all these different platforms are trying to remind us through the content that we've shared over the years. One of my platforms, man, it gives me yesterday, last year, 5 years ago. I think I've seen something go back as far as 7 years ago. I'm a productive person, so therefore I have these great memories, and it's so good because sometimes I look at them and I could be sitting here just trying to wonder how to launch something or start something or continue something, and I'll go and look at a memory like, dang, who was she, right? How'd she do that? How'd I do that? And I'm like, wow, like right now I have got to get prepared to get back into this kitchen. And I'm like, how did I do a whole year in that kitchen when I can't even find time to eat right now? Well, a lot of times it's just that season. Something is right because you're in the right season and everything you need is right there. Not everything is not supposed to go on always and forever. Now I know we gotta work, we gotta eat, we gotta do all these things that's been told to us, and this is what life is. And then we have these yearnings for other things and so forth, and we try to figure out how to do it. Like blogging. Like last night, let me tell y'all, before this podcast, I had to go and cover, and I didn't have to go. I went to cover an event, and I went. Apparently, it's so funny because the dialogue after this event, it was supposed to be one thing. Like it's a film festival. It's a red carpet. There's a certain celebrity, David Oyelowo, and the movie was Don't Let Go. And the movie, to me, represents time travel and Afrofuturism. Like, whoa, there's a future and we're in it kind of thing, right? And this whole time travel thing is interesting because we've already seen a time travel movie put out by Spike Lee. So that meant that somebody went around and gave people funding to make these movies. And here comes the second one with David Oyelowo, who plays a detective trying to go back and rescue, here comes the dog, rescue his niece, who is apparently something victim. I didn't see the movie, so no spoilers. I was like, no, I'm not going to stay and watch it. because when I watch it, I'm creating a narrative around when I watch a movie, and I'm like, this ain't it. Even though there was a talk before, a talk back, or you get to watch it with the director. The director was there, as well as the star of the movie and so forth and so on. That's what a film festival. If y'all, let me tell y'all, if you want to watch movies with the people in the movie, besides everybody that's yelling out in the movie that they were an extra, if you really want to watch movies with people who wrote the movie, who are the basis of the movie, who directed the movie, who stars in the movie, go now find the film festival that's happening in New York City. Every city has film festival. Shout out to Bronze Lens. It's their 10th year film festival in the city. I love it, and I'll be back for several other events throughout the festival. And then there's workshops and all those kinds of things if you want to get into that. Like, I'm still trying to figure out like how to become one of these extras, but it takes all day. But anyway, so I had my one question. I usually just have one question. And usually one of the reasons I have my one question, I try to ask something different than the 3 to 5 questions they've answered all the way down the receiving line on this red carpet. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ask that. Oh, no, I'm not asking that. I'm not asking that. And I always have something that because I like to, at some point in my life, and I'm pretty sure, that I like to tie it together. Like the same question I asked him, I asked to Donald Glover, who's real big in this thing. And so I asked about the Afrofuturism, but his answer, as you know, if you listen to the other podcasts we do, Leading Women podcast, Angela and I talked about, we were looking, she's diving into the 1619 history, and I've been spending the year being 2019 is really the culmination of a lot. As we go into 2020, I'm looking at 1919 to 2019, and some things that people run around saying black people don't do this and black people don't do that, but they don't know, they don't want to tie the essence of, okay, it's because racism exists. Like I was riding home this morning, and yesterday we've been seeing a number of joggers off the beaten path in the neighborhood, right? You know what that means, okay? And our neighborhood that is not about to go through no gentrification because it's been gentrified. There's been the flight. There's been the people coming back, all that kind of stuff. We're caught in a recession, so we've been living together for the past 15 years. And apparently another recession is coming, so if you didn't get out in the opening, you're probably going to be stuck again. But anyway, we saw the jogger off the beaten path. But one of the reasons I say off the beaten path is because our neighborhood has a number of parks and a number of places where you ought to go running, okay? A number of gyms and all that kind of stuff. And we saw this runner, we saw the ponytail swinging. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Whoa, that's not a white female, basically, right? Which is, cue to gentrification, white woman running safely, right? And so there's always this question as to why black people don't get out and run. Racism. Because just envision somebody like jogging. If black people are getting arrested in their own homes, okay, because they have the door open, and they're walking through their house, and the cop thinking, oh, you all not to live there, right? New viral video. Here we go. Cue latest viral video, right? Okay, man walking through his house in his underwear, got his door open, like getting some air. Oh, I don't know that you live there. Step outside my behind. Please, y'all, go and take these classes. You in law, you in the law, and you in racism. Please, okay, I know. It's just how to get out of bed, but we're talking about triggers. And one of the reasons we're talking about triggers, and one of the reasons we're talking about race so much is because in this climate, because of the president, because of things that are going on, because each year from now, and probably for another 2 decades, maybe a decade, probably another decade, okay, I'm going to give you a 5 year, 2025, hopefully, everybody on the planet will understand that there's everybody on the planet, okay? And you might not be able to carve out as much of the planet with your hierarchy as you love. Okay, and this is why I said the future ain't American. I'm just saying, because nobody has to put up with it. Nobody has to put up with it, but we have to understand that it happened. So one of the triggers that I know that I have, and what I'm trying to get people to understand is why this is a trigger. Because one of the things. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back to the running. Let me finish the thought. Asking why black people don't jog. It's because black people can't run in public because of racism. Leave that alone. Now you know, okay? The viral video is, yes, there was a video trending yesterday of a man walking through his house in his underwear, had his door open, getting some air. I don't know what. And young white cop, who obviously not trained by the police force, but probably in one of those unions, went to one of those union meetings where apparently at the union meeting they talk about the aggressive. Because I am going down this trail. I am going to find out how these officers end up with an entirely different training than that is said to come from the police academy. Okay, I'm gonna figure that stuff out because I don't know how. I still can't figure out how this thing happens. So, but anyway, I know all of this. See, this is why a red carpet just ain't simply a red carpet to somebody that used to blog about justice. Y'all talking about Jay-Z and Kaepernick, and we passed kneeling and all this stuff. It's simultaneous. It's simultaneous. Thank you, Michael Eric Dyson, for giving us that. It's simultaneous. We have to deal with it. Kaepernick has to continue simultaneously at the time that Jay-Z has to go into the suites. One is working it on the streets, the other is working it on the suites. Something we never did before is connect these things, not through. Each generation had these two things that were pitted against each other, and watching this stuff go on. The reason why I'm talking about it on how to get out of bed, because it makes people not want to get out of bed. It makes people not want to get out of bed in such a looming facet. You know, my generation, we came along in that window where, you know, the world had realized, hey, listen, you know, these people over here, they're doing this. I mean, we just were able to venture only to a certain point, but venture beyond a lot of this stuff. One, because we had a cohesiveness and a community and a culture which we could live in, and we could work anywhere, live anywhere, get amazing educations, start amazing business. All those things were open to us. But after that, for the generations to come after that, things started to shut down again, and now we're here. If you look at the date on this thing, I'm recording this in 2019. America has a president named Trump, and America prior to that had a president named Barack Obama. And so those two things together have set us on a path of trajectory where people think that, you know, America is still... The thing that boggles my mind is the way people want America to exist. That's the thing that drives me crazy. And I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out, like, who exactly is it? Because it's such a waste of time trying to make America hate again, right? That's where we are in this. And it's like, but nobody truly has to even be in America. Nobody is as confined to this country. I mean, you could like just drive up out of it. And well, maybe I am. I don't know. I mean, you can literally like, get in your car and drive like out of America, right? I mean, and I'm not saying go back where you came from or anything like that. I'm just saying you literally don't have to deal with this. I have to deal with it because I have a publication. I have podcasts. I create content. And when I create this content, like say for instance, last night, let me get back to the original thing of the story. Last night, as part of the content I wanted to create, it was I wanted to go live and show people a glimpse of the film industry, that brought the film festival industry that brought the film industry to Atlanta. That this is something that has been going on for 10 years, and this is why you have to be consistent in what you're doing, because you can bring about change. And now all of Hollywood. When I left the film festival, I came home and I watched a movie. I watched Marlon's movie, Sextuplets or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I realized, whoa, the movie was filmed in Atlanta. Right, and we've seen Marlon around Atlanta a number of times and so forth. Got an amazing Marlon interview on there in our content over on YouTube, where I literally talk with Marlon as to why he has so much success in Hollywood. And, you know, he did Hollywood, and then he got this deal with Netflix, and, you know, and kind of under the radar, He's like, hey, I know my numbers. And he literally answers the question. But anyway, so I wanted to go and just simply go live and show you, the madness of the red carpet, and of course the moment with a celebrity and those kind of things. Just kind of show you what movie blogging is about and so forth. And so I went, but then to come back, the one question I asked the actor the this 1619 project being out there now, and me researching things that went on in the last 100 years, and all of that. It's big. It was bigger than that. Simultaneously, while I'm interviewing them, and okay, you got a movie coming out, awesome. Let's do. I was gonna say let's do it again. Don't go. Don't let go. But the movie is talking about time travel, and from my perspective, black people doing a time travel movie is something that we don't get to turn on and say, "Hey, we're the lead role in this movie." But mind you, I'm talking to an actor who's having great success in America and in American films with an American dialect. Okay, yeah, all that went through my head. And I'm talking to him about this film and this role, and I ask about Afrofuturism and time travel, and he then proceeds to give me the African's perspective. And it's those of you, most of you know, that's a trigger. The African perspective just opposed to the African American perspective, or as I like to say, the Black American perspective, right? So it triggered something in me. It's like, whoa, we're coming from two entirely different perspectives, which he proceeded to let me know that, and my audience know that. And it was kind of like, y'all celebrating the Wakanda and the return and all of that. But he's like, I've been in this space. And while it shook me. And I remember I remember my face changing when he, at one point when he started talking, when he said that I've been in this space, my face changed. I felt it shook me, y'all, because I'm like, oh wait, I forgot. Yeah, you've been in that space, even though he ain't in that space now. He's in America, but oh wow, you've been in that. You were not one of the taken as we dissected this conversation. So I was triggered. Okay, now I was triggered. Now this way, if I didn't come home and have the dialogue with my podcast partner, I probably would have been triggered this morning, like real heavy, like how do I get out of bed? But we talked about this. I came home and I asked her, I said, listen, go look at that. Go look. I couldn't even stay last night. I was like, I got to go sit somewhere and process this, right? And I came over and I texted her. I said, go look at that little clip and tell me if that, what did he say? Go look at it. Let me make sure it ain't just my triggers, that there is a disconnect. Because for him to say he's been in that space, you've been in that space, but there's 500-year distance. There's something that happened over the last 500 years that kept me as a descendant from being in that space, right? And to say, he literally said he'd been in Wakanda. Now y'all know how y'all celebrated Wakanda with Black Panther. He even took it back to Black Panther. He's like, I've been in Wakanda, and I was like, okay. But I felt as though, and here's what happens, and this is why, again, simultaneously we have built up our talking points. We have built up the suppression, how we're going to suppress these things. And it's funny that he said that, because at the same time, like I have a good colleague who is right now in Africa as part of the year of return. There's a group that left Atlanta. They went from Jamestown to Jamestown. They left Atlanta and they went to Jamestown in, I think, Virginia, right? Where the 20 people are tracing the steps of the first 20 that came, and that's part of the 1619 project. And all of this is kind of wrapping up before we get out of 2019, going into 2020. Like, let's really get an understanding of what has happened to a people or to people. And so when he said that, so mind you, that's where our mindset. And just Tuesday we recorded that podcast. Yesterday being Wednesday, all those thoughts on my mind. And so when he said that, and I'm thinking, because the move, and y'all, it's a lot. I can't put it all in here. Y'all got to go. Angela and I are going to come back with a part 2. But I don't even know where to go with this. It's like, but I still got out of bed because I had the dialogue. I needed to have the dialogue. So she went in and checked it out, based and compared it. Oh, let me go back. Jamestown. Colleague of mine who does radio here in Atlanta is on a trip right now, and they went from Jamestown to Jamestown. So they went from Jamestown in America to Jamestown in Africa, tracing the steps of the original 20 that came, how slavery began in America and how slavery ended. And it's their year of return for those who wanted to go back to Africa and bridge this gap in this celebration and celebrated the resilience and so forth, or the coming home, or wanted to feel that coming home type thing. And some of them have done their DNA and all that kind of stuff, right? So at the same time, in his statement, he said, plus I am royalty. You know, he hinted to the fact that he was part of a royal family out of Nigeria, right? And so at the same time he said that to me, I look at her post, and she and me, I'm looking at, oh wow, that's an entire narrative that he just gave. Like, that might not be reality, but that's his talking point. That's his narrative that he is going to give when questioned about being an African actor in certain roles. Now, you know, the majority is what we know him for in his roles is him playing an American. He played, you know, of course, everybody talks about Selma, and he's played a number of biopics and this kind of thing and so forth. We know him as an African actor in America, in American roles, right? And so at the same time, he gave me this narrative. Remember, I talked about stuff comes at you, and I'm waiting for it to come at me a third time. So he gives me, in his narrative, he talks about the Africa being the richest of the continents, and he talked about, you know, everybody coming from royalty. In fact, he himself, I'm myself, I'm from royalty and all this kind of stuff. So then at the same time I come home, and Angela and I are having this dialogue in the text about, you know, dissecting the one question, 44 seconds of video. I look online, and my colleague who's actually in Africa right now on this year of return, she posts that one of the speakers over there that welcomed them back said to them, when asked about your origins, you must say that you are from royalty. And I quickly tagged Angela. I'm like, girl, it's a narrative. It is a freaking narrative. This is, and while it's good and it makes you feel good, I said, but it's absent of what happened from 1619 to 2019. It's absent of the 400 years. It's absent of the 400 years. Okay, if I'm royalty, give me my check. Can I get my reparations? And this is why I say reparations must be a global thing, because globally everybody participated in this. And while we no, I'm still talking about how to get out of bed. You get out. This is how you got to go beyond the talking points. It's got to start becoming it's got to become reality, y'all. It can't just be at 23 minutes into this. It can't just be a talking point. It can't just be this spiel that you give somebody in an interview, or the way in fact, we can't be the only ones trying to explain this thing, which is what Angela and I talked about on the Leading Women podcast, and what they're talking about in all the different essays and so forth. Like, who is this for? Like, what he was telling me, was that for me? Was that for my audience? Because if it was for me and for my audience, that's why we still talking about it. Like, wait, that you can't take the brush and just paint that like that, right? No, you can't take that brush. You can't. Because the people are going to want to know more, hopefully. If you follow me, you want to know more. If you follow me, you want to know, well, what is that, right? Yes, I believe we should all have our talking points. And yes, I believe we should, but it should be the truth. It should be 100% the truth. I know PR, I know publicity, and the problem comes when we all start believing, the broad brushstrokes, right? Like there some when I get press release or PR and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the men love to say, they came from homelessness and they built this and that. Well, women, they don't come. They like, ladies, we out here, honey. We out here trying to be all truthful, honest, and transparent. And if you were to, I'm gonna leave y'all with this exercise. If you could just paint something with a broad brushstroke, all right, now maybe that's how you get out of bed. Maybe that's why most of us are triggered, because we don't use those broad brushstrokes. Have y'all seen these adult coloring apps? right? Because I've got a couple of those adult coloring apps, and there are some, you just basically hit on the number, you pick a color, and it tells you, okay, this color is number 6, and you go through and you just swipe all the 6 spots. And some of them are like very detailed. See, the very detailed, that's usually women. Like, in the one where it's like, oh, it's like 5 colors, bam, 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 accomplished, complete, finished, right? That's what I wanted to talk about. This broad brush stroke. Like when I talked about black people and jogging, like I would love to, no, I wouldn't, but maybe I would if it wasn't for racism. Go out here and go running down through the neighborhood. If I didn't have to worry, see, the broad brushstroke is, black people don't run. That's the broad brushstroke. But then when I tell you, well, black people don't run because, in a mile run, 4 or 5 cops are probably going to ask, is everything okay where you coming from? I'm out there, I have to pull over every now and then to reset my GPS. And in every instance, not every instance, I won't say every instance, but in a couple of instances in particular neighborhoods where I have to pull over, a cop will pull up, you okay, everything okay? I'm like, yeah. I'm just like on my phone. I might be sending a tweet or whatever, where you trying to go? And I'm like, it's like, really? Is you concerned, or did you just like notice something different? It's like, it's crazy. And then there are those that say, well, just comply. Well, you don't have to just comply because you don't get stopped. You don't get asked. There's no query, right? Have y'all not seen the video of the cops walking up on the vehicle of the guy, the mass shooters? Have y'all not see how nicely they walk up on the mass shooters and how rough they walk up on a jaywalker or a person? Come on now. It's like, oh my God. Broad strokes. I say all that to say, broad strokes are not working anymore, right? It's just not. You can't just paint it with a broad stroke. This design of this world. And one of the reasons I went into this, whatever you want to call it, trying to dissect this, is, and Angela made a great point. And I had to answer her in this way as to why we are doing this and why we are looking at this like this. Because when we talk about this movie, and it's two very simple movies. The broad stroke is just go to the movie and be entertained, and you get to see all these amazing black faces and talent, and it's a storyline of time travel, right? But and I don't know, and no spoilers. I didn't stay to see the Don't Let Go movie because I want to see it. I like to see it when I can actually fully talk about it. So we're gonna go see the movie. We might even do. But anyway, let me go back and talk about the Spike Lee movie. I don't have to do any spoilers there. One of the things that bothered me about the Spike Lee movie is it didn't end. It didn't end because if you time traveling, it should end. But the problem with the movie was it was a movie where a young girl, genius young woman, and her friend, genius young friend, male friend, they find a portal. They find that time travel is possible. And her brother gets, of course, shot by a cop because there's so many narratives. That narrative has taken over the film industry right now. So she decides, okay, we can do this. We're going to jump back and save my brother, right? So they jump back to save her brother. And they keep going back. And every time they go back, something else goes wrong. Well, one of the reasons they don't change the future is because they keep trying to stop the victim from doing something that causes them to be the victim. Had they gone back in jump 1 and stopped the killer from becoming a killer, meaning the cop, stopped the cop from going to work that day, okay, or being born for that matter, all right, if they'd gone to the right place and interjected on the right person, it would have stopped a whole lot more than just the loss of however that movie, I can't even remember because it kept jumping. So that's where we are. In essence, if you get the chance to go back or to go forward, because the movie was called See You Yesterday. if you get a chance to leap backwards or forwards, you're probably going to still end up with the same outcome because we don't know. Like even Trump right now, he ran on a campaign. Let me tell you about time travel. He ran on a campaign to make America great again. And the first question asked was, well, when was it great? Where are we going? What we trying to do again? And in essence, because he couldn't define at what point we wanted to make great again, we made America hate again. So even if given up, now the president has all the resources of the planet in order it can collaborate with any leader, world nation, and change this thing. He could have spent this first term, as well as Obama, as well as any other presidents, could have spent those terms changing the world. And until we realize, well, what's the point that's really wrong? Like I was telling Angela, if we're not gonna sit down and we're not gonna talk to white males about this thing and how they were raised by white females, okay, and where that lineage goes, then we can talk to the victims all day long. We're not gonna change the outcome. We're not gonna change the future. Same thing with these movies. You can't go back and tell a victim how not to become a victim, and that's what we continue to do. We got to go back and stop the killers, y'all. You can't go. You don't want to get out of bed because you didn't do the right thing on that day. But until you recognize what that broad stroke that you try, get rid of that broad stroke. It's time to go in and get some tweezers, okay? I'm telling you, I saw a guy. There's another cute viral video. A guy painted a whole picture with the flap on his hat, right? Amazing. But broad strokes are out. If anything else, at 31, 1 and 2 minutes over the podcast, we realized that broad strokes are done. If you're not ready to paint this thing with a fine tooth comb, then stay in your delusion. Stay in your delusion because we can fix this. And I tell Angela, say, well, when we do this podcast, Leading Women podcast, we do it because women can save the world today. If we get to the end of this day and women did not save the world today, I'm going to be that person asking tomorrow, why not? What is it? What is it that we did not do? If you had a chance to leap forward or to leap back, I'm going to tell you, can I just tell y'all the outcome's still going to be the same because you don't know what you're leaping for. You don't know what it's all for. And I hate that I had to get that standing there on that red carpet because now, mind you, I'm having to deal with what goes on here in America. I had a chance last night to stand face to face with somebody from an entirely different continent, as well we all do each and every day, thanks to social media. But face to face, two people who look like each other and got two totally different narratives, right? Just that simple little talking point. My talking point was to ask the question about time travel and being black, right? It was like, time traveling while black, right? And he goes, well, I've been in this space. Like, you've been in the, literally saying to me, well, I've been in the future. I mean, that was the answer. Wait, you already there? Wait, hold up. How did you get there, right? I wish y'all could have seen my face when he said to me, I've been in this space. Because I'm asking him the question of, wow, we're finally in the space. Never mind that the fact that the director standing next to him was a white male. He was like, I've been in the space. Y'all the ones trying to get back to Wakanda. That's why Killmonger was ready to go over there and just like. And shout out to my cohort who said, okay, this is a Killmonger moment. This because I gotta get out this podcast, y'all. It's just that deep, y'all. It's just that deep. It's fun. You have to laugh to keep from crying. Because this is where we are. This is where we are, y'all. We were Killmonger and Black Panther last night. I was looking around trying to figure out where the auntie at. That's what this was. I was straight Killmonger last night. Like, dude, what you mean you been in this? He literally said to me, yeah, but that's his talking point. And then to see my colleague who's actually over in Africa being injected with inculcated with that same talking point, getting ready to come back over here and say she's royalty. And I'm like on her time, like, girl, Don't roll back up in America with that royalty narrative unless that's because that's a broad stroke. And I know her, she is a scholar, so she's gonna deep dive. And if she just went with the broad stroke right there, believe you me, the comments we left on her timeline, she's gonna do a deep dive, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have her on Leading Women podcast, and Leading Women podcast will go on her show. We're gonna cross promote this thing, and we're gonna continue to talk about it, y'all. Are you out there right now trying to paint something with a broad stroke? Somebody give me a painter's term. Leave a painter's term in the comments. The comments, again, I can't see your comments while I'm recording. I will go back and we will have those comments. There is a Facebook page for the How to Get Out of Bed podcast, but please go over to the DryerBuzz page. If you go to DryerBuzz.com, you'll see where we link everything, and you'll be able to decide where you want to follow us. This is a daily podcast. If I'm giving the breath of life, you're getting a podcast, right? So, and it's going to talk about these things, but I was triggered. I was triggered last night. I was Killmonger triggered last night with this brother standing in front of me and telling me he been in this space. Yeah, you've been in this space, but some of us, this whole 400 years is something like, I'm like, it's just totally absent of, like, it just like in Wakanda, it's like, oh, y'all help me. Help and tell me, did I just make too much of this? I don't think I did. I think this is what I was born for, is to ask that follow-up question, and that is the follow-up question. You cannot paint this with a broad. I know everybody wants that broad stroke. Let's just paint it red, white, and blue. But some people put a little black, put a little green, put a little red. Yeah, all that. And then everybody else oh, well, our colors are this. I understand. Believe you me. And if I left you out of this conversation, that's why there's comments. That's why there's feedback. That's why my phone number's right there. My email's right there. Listen, let me know. Are you in this? Or are you just sitting back watching to see how the colors unfold? What they got going on over there now, y'all, honey. This thing is serious. I thank you guys so much for listening. This is how I woke up. This is how I got out of bed. Now I'm getting ready to go have some breakfast, and I got a lot of chores and tasks and work to do for the rest of the day. My name is Yolanda. I'm at DryerBuzz. I produce amazing podcasts. Don't forget on Tuesday, this is a daily podcast each and every day, 7 days a week. But we also have Leading Women podcast that comes on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. And that's what we are deep diving in the 1619 project, which is running right now as part of the New York Times. An amazing young woman asked the question just like I did, and she got a chance to pull together amazing artists, writers, authors, researchers, scholars. Everybody's talking about 1619 to 2019 so that we can have a better 2020. Okay, into 2025. Let's just start with 2020, because we got to scrape some of these broad strokes off and figure out what's really going on. We have a food podcast as well, a Buzz It or Bash It podcast, which you're going to hear on Saturdays. But we do each and every day. We are blogging each and every day. If you go to DryerBuzz.com, and I'm going to tell you, I just need you to do me one more favor. Let me say a couple of thank you. Watch the bottom of your screen as I scroll through this. I want to say thank you to naturalsoapbyzakia.com. You can go to Natural Soap by Zakia. That's where I luxuriate in. Use your discount code DryerBuzz for Natural Soap by Zakia. Also, got to thank DeleteInspires.com for their continued support. We may have our annual reunion event coming up with them soon. I'll tell you more also about that. Also, if you're in Atlanta, want to get your lashes done, as well as some other services, take care of yourself. Self-care. Let me tell you what self-care is. Self-care, honey, is walking in the most amazing space and having somebody just take care of you from head to toe. Go and check out eyelashher.com. And then, of course, if I knock all that off the screen, there's one place you should always be. And that, of course, is DryerBuzz.com. But don't let me tell you, do me one more favor, and that is...
Go now to DryerBuzz.com and follow at DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.